All right, tonight the vindication continues. We have a lot of brand new information to share with you. The truth about the Russia investigation is being exposed as a sham, a Democratic political operation, and it is now turned into a witch hunt. The entire basis of Robert Mueller's so-called investigation is based and predicated on a lie and a conspiracy theory that was cooked up by the Obama administration, by Democrats, and by your liberal news media as an excuse for why Hillary Clinton lost the election. That was never supposed to happen. And for over a year, what has it been? Trump, Russia, collusion, collusion, collusion. We have no evidence to date. The only evidence that we do have tonight is that Hillary Clinton bought and paid for a salacious, phony document filled with Russian lies to try and influence all of you during that election. That's what Mueller should really be looking into, but instead, his investigation is now morphed into a Democratic political hit job to remove a duly elected president from office and use the powerful tools of intelligence and the FISA courts to do it. Now, with more damaging information coming out every day, it looks like special counsel Robert Mueller and his partisan hacks, they are trying now to change the narrative with their lamestream media friends with selective leaking today. Every one of them is a non-story, not worthy of your attention unless you work for the fake news media. Now, before we get to tonight's new information, remember this. Comey is corrupt as they come. He gave those memos to the Columbia professor for the very purpose of leaking to the press so a special counsel would be appointed, hoping that this would all come to pass. And Comey also reportedly coordinated his congressional testimony with Robert Mueller. That sounds like collusion. And in spite of these facts, the delusional Comey, he's actually trying to fashion himself as a martyr. As he recently tweeted, good to read reports of people standing up for what they believe in. Then he quotes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Wait a minute. He put the fix in so Hillary wouldn't be charged in spite of the evidence he knew existed. This is an embarrassment, a national disgrace, and beyond laughable. He deserved to be fired. We'll explain why in a minute. And also tonight, we have more evidence of just how fraudulent, unethical, and nefarious Mueller's investigation really is. Now, here are the new texts just released today between anti-Trump FBI officials, which confirms everything we have been telling you. On May 19th, 2 days after Robert Mueller appointed the special counsel, Strzok writes to Page, you and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because of my gut sense and concern. There's no big there, meaning Trump-Russia collusion. So you have Strzok. He was a high-ranking intelligence official at the FBI that specialized in Russia, signed the paperwork to start the entire Russian investigation, knowing there's no there. In other words, it's always been a hoax, and this proves it. It was part of an attempt to stop Trump from winning, and then to remove him from office. And if it means breaking the law using the intelligence community, so be it. We never should have gone down this road. And the mainstream media and their hacks in the media, CNN, MSNBC, every broadcast channel, New York Times, Washington Post, they have been giving you nothing but lies and propaganda now for a year. And now those involved, those responsible for crimes that were committed, they are now trying to cover it up. They're not going to get away with it. When all is said and done, this is going to make Watergate look like a kid stealing candy from a store. And as we reported yesterday, 5 months of key text messages are missing between Strzok and Page. Here's what happened during this critical time frame. This is from December 14, 2016 to May 17, 2017. Now, in March, President Trump, remember, he claimed, they were wiretapping at Trump Tower. We broke that nearly a year ago right here on this program. Then BuzzFeed published, this is during the 5 missing months, the Clinton bought and paid for phony Russian lying dossier. That was in January. All of a sudden, the text stopped. And that was used in part later on to get the FISA warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. Remember that. It was before that. And later that month, former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, he's interviewed by the FBI. And wouldn't luck have it, it was Peter Strzok who actually was the official that oversaw that interview. And on May 9th, the FBI Director James Comey was fired. And then on May 17th, Robert Mueller was named as special counsel. Now, those are the major events And how conveniently it happens that the messages, some 50,000 of them, this is the time period where Strzok and Page's messages are missing. And the FBI is trying to blame it on Samsung, who supplied the phones. You've got to be kidding me. It's the FBI that specializes in intelligence and evidence gathering. They can't find the messages? I don't believe that's possible. And given the inherent anti-Trump bias that we have seen from Strzok and Page, they hated Trump. And their involvement in almost everything involving the Russia investigation, well, we must now know what they were talking about during these 5 critical months. The FBI should find those messages, maybe make a call to Samsung, because if you can't get it, I bet they can. Now, there's also a stunning new revelation tonight about these missing text messages. Congressman Trey Gowdy is saying that there is a message between Strzok and Page about deleting these text conversations. You can't make this up for a novel. Look at this new information.
Lay aside this glaring 5-month gap in text that the world's premier law enforcement agency somehow missed. Lay that aside. What we have seen, what Johnny and I saw today, was a text about not keeping text. We saw more manifest bias against President Trump all the way through the election into the transition.
Hatred of Trump, bias against Trump, and not keeping the text messages. Well, that sounds like obstruction of justice. And by the way, it's not the first time, is it, that we've all seen this happen? Every single solitary time the Obama administration and their officials are backed into a corner and in serious legal trouble, all of a sudden, all the evidence just magically disappears. For example, this is their modus operandi. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 subpoenaed emails deleted. And just to make extra sure, acid washed, bleach bit, the whole entire hard drive to make sure the evidence is completely destroyed. And just in case it made it to one of her Blackberries or mobile devices, well, she sends an 8 out with a hammer. Boom, let's smash that sucker. And the only phones they gave the FBI, they had no SIM cards. I'm sure just an accident, right? You believe that? I'll sell you a bridge to nowhere. Then there's also the IRS targeting conservatives. Remember that scandal? The emails from corrupt official Lois Lerner, they disappeared for 2 years. And the IRS claimed at the time they were lost because of a system crash. And we can't forget about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, her IT aide, and the reports of smashed hard drives in his garage. Now, predictably, the aide's lawyer denied it happened. Now, I know this is a lot to take in. Let me slow down here. But there's even more new information tonight we'll be giving to you throughout the hour. According to Congressman John Ratcliffe, Strzok and Page were also talking about, imagine this, a secret society meeting the day after President Trump won the election. Who's in the secret society? Let's see, could it be Page and Strzok and McCabe and Comey and, let's see, Bruce Orr? Could it be Rod Rosenstein? Who else is in the special secret society? Aren't they supposed to be transparent? Watch this.
We learned today about information that in the immediate aftermath of his election, that there may have been a secret society of folks within the Department of Justice and the FBI, to include Page and Strzok, that would be working against him. I'm not saying that actually happened, but when folks speak in those terms, they need to come forward to explain the context with which they use those terms.
As you just heard Congressman Ratcliffe say, there's no concrete evidence yet that the secret society ever met. But here's what we do know. Strzok and Page and who we think is the deputy FBI director, Andrew McCabe, were meeting about, remember, the insurance policy, just in case Hillary lost the election. It's like dying if you're 40. And all of the other evidence in this scandal points to one simple, fundamental, basic fact. Top-ranking Obama administration officials in the Department of Justice, in the FBI, not rank and file, the top people, protected Hillary Clinton from prosecution. We know that happened. And then they used that phony Russian dossier that Hillary bought and paid for, full of Russian salacious lies, to go after the Trump campaign to try and influence the election. After all, it worked in stealing the primary from poor Bernie Sanders. And as we have now been saying for months, the fix was in the Clinton email investigation. Why? Because they wanted Hillary to run. They didn't want Trump to win. Now, here's why. Another text message from Peter Strzok and Lisa Page appears to show that they and Obama's Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, they all knew that Clinton wouldn't be prosecuted. By the way, before they ever interviewed Clinton or the other main participants in all of this. They didn't do the investigation. Remember, in May, James Comey and Peter Strzok and other top FBI officials, they were drafting the exoneration of Hillary months before they ever interviewed her and 17 other key witnesses. How can you actually exonerate somebody before ever talking to them? That's called the fix being in. That's being rigged. That is corruption 101. Let's take a look at James Comey denying under oath that he reached his legal conclusion before interviewing Hillary Clinton. Now, remember, we have all the different drafts, and his original drafts all pointed to a case of Hillary being guilty as hell. Watch this.
Director, did you make the decision not to recommend criminal charges relating to classified information before or after Hillary Clinton was interviewed by the FBI on July the 2nd?
After. But if colleagues of ours believe I am lying about when I made this decision, please urge them to contact me privately so we can have a conversation about this. All I can do is tell you again, the decision was made after that because I didn't know what was going to happen in that interview. She maybe lied during the interview in a way we could prove.
I'll call you. Can I have your number? I have a lot of questions for you. Sounds to me like Comey lied in that case under oath because we know we have the drafts, how he was exonerating Clinton months before her FBI interview. And tonight, just breaking, Politico is now reporting this hour that Congressman Ratcliffe is saying he wants to interview Comey again under oath about all these inconsistencies in his previous testimony. Let's go back to the timeline. At the end of June of 2016, Bill Clinton decides to meet Loretta Lynch, remember that, on the tarmac for 40 minutes and talking about their grandkids. And then on July 1st, Lynch says she's going to step away from the investigation. She will accept whatever the FBI concludes. Remember, she encouraged Comey. It's a matter. It's not an investigation. This is all before Hillary Clinton, 3 days before she was ever even interviewed. That happened on the 4th of July weekend. So after Lynch's statement that she was taking a back seat, Strzok writes his mistress, girlfriend, Paige, timing looks like hell. Paige replies, yeah, that's awful timing. And then later adds, it's a real profile in courage since she knows no charges will be brought. They hadn't interviewed Hillary Clinton yet. 4 days later, they finally interviewed Hillary Clinton on the third day. Then Comey comes out with what he was already writing in early May in his press conference, giving Hillary Clinton a pass on everything. So Strzok knew. Page knew, Comey knew, Lynch knew, and I assume Andrew McCabe knew as well. Nothing was going to happen to Hillary because the fix was in. And if Lisa Page knew, then that probably means she was advising Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe. So what else are they lying about? Were they aware the FBI was giving Clinton cover? And if Comey, Lynch, and all these top law enforcement officials knew that this was their agreement, not to go after Clinton because they wanted her in the race to defeat Donald Trump because they know better than you who should be president, then there's a pretty darn good chance that someone in the Obama White House also was doing the wink and nod thing, and they knew the fix was in. In other words, the fix was it. It was rigged. Now there's another component to the story. We have even more breaking news tonight about the effort by congressional Republicans to release the 4-page classified memo. That exposes the FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. Byron York reporting nearly 200 members of Congress have now seen this. And Fox News is reporting tonight that the memo could be released any day now. But we're still calling on you, the American people, once again, call up your members of Congress, demand that the memo be released. Release the memo. Call the number at the bottom of your screen, 202-224-3121. Tell your members of Congress, we deserve to know the truth about what is likely the biggest scandal in American history. There's so much information. There's so many players involved in all of this. Let me tie it together. Hillary Clinton rigged the primary. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, you should be pissed. Why you're not, I don't know. Even though there is incontrovertible evidence she broke the law, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Loretta Lynch all put the fix in. and allowed her to stay in this presidential race. They ignored the rule of law, the Constitution, and Clinton and the DNC that she controlled then spent over $12 million to influence the election with a bought and paid for dossier full of Russian lies and propaganda that was shipped off to the compliant media. The Obama administration weaponized the powerful tools of intelligence that we need to keep our country safe, but in this case, they used it to target members of the Trump campaign. This, so you understand, is so much bigger than Watergate. It's about our Constitution, about the rule of law. It has been shredded, all because powerful people at the highest level in the DOJ and the FBI thought they knew better than you as to who should be president. There needs to be serious ramifications if we're going to save our country in all of this. People must be held accountable. They must be investigated. They must be indicted, and probably many of them thrown in jail.